My name is Eleni Kociuba. I'm 25 years old. I'm an artist, entrepreneur, athlete. I love to be outside. I think life for me is really about finding love in every aspect and making pretty much everything positive. I've been in a lot of pain in my life, but pain is probably the greatest teacher.
Will you guys explain how you know each other?
Through social media.
Social media.
So how long?
I don't remember who followed who first. Yeah,
and so Ella and I were both young. We had similar struggles, and like one thing that was cool, I know young girls in the industry, like they were kind of catty, like cutthroat, but we were like good friends. We are 25, yeah?
Yeah.
25, and we're now meeting each other. So what exactly happened the day of whenever you fell off your horse?
I was getting ready for a night race actually. So I had my horse in a full gallop up a little hill, and a deer jumped out and she halted. I flew onto her neck and she reared and I flew off. So the initial fall broke the L4 and L5. However, we did not find this out until a year later of multiple different doctors. We went through 5 different doctors. So we had a chiropractor. She did this treatment on me called decompression. And this is a treatment where they put basically like a little strap around your ribs and one around your hips and pull you apart. So it creates that traction, which is great for people maybe with bulging discs, but Ella's special. And I had a birth defect where my spine was not connected to the sacrum since birth. So when she did this treatment one day, she actually upped the weight by 50 pounds, 25 pounds each way. She left to go Christmas shopping, and that traction started pulling me like a medieval trapment. It pulled all the muscle in my back so tightly that it felt as if it was like a wire being stripped. And basically I was seconds away from being paralyzed, screaming, fainted. They pulled me off the machine. 2 weeks later, I mean, by this point I wasn't walking. So they, so to this day, I'm connected from upper half to lower half by 4 metal rods and 6 screws. Actually, I think people don't realize how actually fragile I am. Despite me being able to do such hardcore events, I have to mechanically know how to move my body, because I tell you what, I could easily bend forward and like lean to a right or to the left, and I'll be able to hit a sciatic nerve or something could go off wrong, which is remarkable despite what I can do, but my back is very fragile.
I know you're in your resilient stage right now, and you have been for a while, and in strength, but was there a point in time where you maybe were discouraged and you had to overcome that, or?
I think I didn't even understand.
Yeah.
I was so young, I just remember, and it's actually quite depressing because I will look at the journals I kept when I was little, and all I'd ever write was, I'm in so much pain today, but luckily I got to go pet my horse. But I just never was bitter. It was a way of life. And I just knew that I had to like focus on the task at hand, and I dreamt of being great again, and literally I made it happen.
Do you think maybe even like the bad stuff that happens to us like this, like that was put in your life to build you?
I always say this, so the darkest times of your life, like when you're in the darkness, that's like the most you're alive.
Yeah. I
am who I am because of what I went through. And if I did not go through it, and if I refused to be present when I went through it, I would not be here. I would have let go long ago. Right. So it was a matter of learning to be with the darkness and learn your lesson. It was more of a beautiful challenge to experience the pain and use that pain for something even better, like to give more love.
And I know that there was a point in time where you just kind of made a decision, I'm going to be something. Tell me about that.
After I graduated high school, that's when the obsession of being great really kind of overcame me.
Right.
I just ran because that's all I could do. And then I became a good runner. That's when I literally just started entering into every 5K I could find. Before I knew it, I was doing like a 5K on a Saturday, a 5K on a Sunday, 2 5Ks on a Sunday. Like,
it's a lot.
Yeah, like I was just crazy. I got bored of running, so luckily I found out about a Tough Mudder. I entered into it. I won it. 2 weeks later, I did Spartan race, and I like to call this one the one that made me famous. I ended up winning it as well. And I outbeat these ex-Terra Pro athletes at the time.
And let's let people know, how old were you and how old were the other competitors?
I was
typically?
18 years old, and I think my competitors I beat were in their 30s. 2 weeks later, it was like a movie moment.
Oh,
The
wow.
director of Spartan Race, basically, they ended up contacting me. Sure enough, I got sponsored a few months later because of that. Because I performed so well. But I just knew when I finally started using my body, because I had struggled with being able to use it, that I really over-obsessed with it. It was like, holy crap, I can walk again. Holy crap, I can run and feel my body. And these are things that I desired so much when I was growing up, that I really over-obsessed with my body. But I remember always just telling myself that I would be great. And so it was as if I painted that picture that I was able to execute it almost subconsciously.
Yeah.
So I just did it. I became great. But I was not grieving properly what I had gone through as a kid. And that really kind of transitioned into the anxiety that brought me on to bulimia.
I relate to you on that because I actually struggled with bulimia as well. Whenever I was younger, I didn't feel significant for me. And so I researched that, and I knew I was gonna be something. I told myself that, and I finally found something that I could control, and it was in my hands. Do you think it was a product of your obsessive nature and things like that?
Yes, perfectionism laid a very strong hand in it. The thing is like, humans, people, we're never really in control, but we have to have a sense of being in control. I was very disturbed. Yeah, I was like so alone. I would go to fitness expos, I'd go to races. Whether I competed well or not, which generally the most time I did pretty well, lots of people came up to me for help, and I would tell them. And I think the hardest part after all these years is I literally was telling advice that I needed to hear.
Yeah.
And I couldn't hear it, because I was there for people when I had no one, and I was in so much pain. So I could win a race, but behind the scenes, I was just not living. I did a lot while I was in pain, but I never wanted anyone to feel it.
Yeah.
So I hid it. I hid it for years. And I also thought that it was super weak if I talked, because I was also comforted that it was normal.
Right.
So the more I worked in the fitness industry, the more I'd hear people talk about, oh yeah, I can't eat this, I can't eat that, or I look fat. It was just always negative talks about body.
And that's one thing in the fitness industry that I know bothers you and I both, is that it's almost glamorized to be suffering and in pain and going through this mental turmoil. Have you noticed that about the fitness industry at all? We kind of glamorize it.
Yeah, and that's why, like, when I left, it was almost easy to leave, because there was so much hidden bad habits there that were cushioned to believe that that was the route. We do not have to suffer, or we should not allow people to, feel like they have to sabotage their bodies in order to look a certain way, because let's be honest, we all struggle with how we look.
I think I really knew you through, I think I actually found you on social media. It's kind of how we knew each other, through Flagmore Fail. So you were their one and only sponsored athlete.
Yes, I was. I was sponsored with them from 2012 to 2014. They were like family, and pretty much immediately they found me. They gave me a really big start to my career.
Yeah.
But like I said, my whole career I was ill. I could only be so bulimic and be so athletic. So I would break down. So finally by 2013, I was really trying to get away from bulimia. In that fall, I went on tour with Flagmore Fail. It was the East Coast tour. Dana was going to do a show, I want to say it was in Florida, and we started in New York. Okay. I joined them for half of the tour. I was pretty excited. But to be honest with you, I was so dark. I was heavy. I was maybe just in a foot brace or just coming out of a foot boot. And I haven't gone public yet. I'm still hiding behind Ed. And so I go on tour, and I might as well have been a chair at a party. I just felt like I was there. I remember with every fan I met, I wanted to cry. and I wanted someone to save me. But, so I went on the tour and I was over it. So I came back and, a few months later, March of 2014, my second brother graduates Marine OCS class. I loved him, but I was not there for him. So that night, or after that weekend, I realized I had to go public. We get on the airplane. My phone was like on 10%, and I was looking next to me, and there was an old woman, like JC Penney matching outfit, and she's old and she looks healthy and she's asleep, and I realized I would never be her. I went straight up to my room and I rewrote the blog on my laptop, and I read it, and I read it, and I read it, and I read it, and so finally I could hit submit. Like, I was like, shit, like, I've done all this work, like, I gotta save myself. So I posted it. Immediately, like, people came in, and like, I immediately was getting comfort. And then when I would read people's messages, I would feel it. I would feel what they said. It was the most moving thing I had ever done. Now, I had sent this blog and stuff to Rob Bailey. Rob never responded. I hadn't heard from them probably for 5 months now. I hadn't received anything that I used to receive in terms of like clothes and stuff like that. But I didn't really say anything. There's a huge power differential. I respected them. I loved them. They were my family. Probably a few months after I went public about the bulimia, they developed a motto called "Fuck Balance." Right. And so one day I get tagged on an Instagram post, and it was a fan talking about how they love the fuck balance thing and how they're going to implicate it in their lives. Balance is like one of the hardest, like, precious things we can achieve, and it's like a beautiful. So all I wrote was, I believe in balance. And I shit you not, like an hour after that text, I get a text from Rob Bailey telling me that I'm branding against him. We need to talk ASAP. The conversation went immediately aggressive. Starts telling me, you know, who are you to brand against us? And I'm like, whoa, please, can we backtrack as to why I made that comment and saying I believe in balance? And he said, oh, you want to backtrack, Ella? You want to backtrack? Let's backtrack to the Flagler Fell East Coast tour when you look fat and unathletic. And, he proceeded to tell me that he was embarrassed and insulted with the way I looked. He thought I didn't know by the way I looked, but I wore those shorts the first day. I just remember just feeling so blindsided. I had no idea. I didn't want to cry, but I was crying on the phone. He was my hero. And so basically, in the conversation, I realized, oh, wait a minute, I don't want to be with you. I don't want to be with you anymore. So I was like, okay, Rob, I think we're done. Like, let's, go our different ways. But I tried not to be bitter. So I tried to use it as a lesson to give even more. Yeah. I started giving more to people after that. And it really, truly starts with you. I love myself. I've learned to forgive. So now I'm unstoppable.
Yeah, I totally see that. I feel like you're so glowy. Like you found your validation within you. It's like shining out. I'm so happy.
Yeah, like, you just gotta give love. You might walk the same pathway your whole life. If you ever try to change, it's you going into the forest. So when you finally choose to leave, allow yourself to fail. Failing is the best thing you can do, because you're going to succeed after it. If you keep going, to hear the darkness and say, nah, like, I think I'll just have a good day.